Right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Part Lane Podcast. It's definitely, I would have liked it to be a more happier time when all the guys have decided to go on holiday and they've decided to ditch me. So I am very lucky to have some of my good friends on with me, a couple of podcasters and one of my mates in George from Private Life as well. So we'll come over to Henry first. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, not great. I'm probably in the same sort of boat as you are after this weekend of football. Last week started brilliantly with my trip to the Amex. I went to the Emirates on Wednesday, lost, and then had to watch that dross from yesterday early evening. So not great, but glad to be on just before Christmas.
Mate, don't worry, we're all in the same boat here. And obviously, Askew, you are a Saints fan, so I know you've not been the happiest of fans going either. But how you doing, man? I think you might need to turn your mic on, mate. You're on quiet. Okay, look, let's try and get that sorted for you. Well, while George is sorting out his mic, obviously, Henry, like we've been saying and all that, it's not the proud moment I don't think the Spurs fans would want to be looking on in the lead up to Christmas. I mean, we haven't had the worst of weeks. We have ironically beaten Southampton 5-0. We have gone through in the cup as well, playing against Man United, but it's not an ideal end, I don't think, is it, in the lead up to Christmas?
No, I think you're right. It's not what you want. I mean, it's just one of those games, like obviously just finished now, and it just felt like one of those crazy games where every time I look up somebody's scoring a goal or there's a big chance. I do think your goalkeeper played very well, to be fair to him, and that's quite hard to say when somebody concedes 6 goals. But I think he made some unbelievable saves. There was that one from Trent from just outside the box that was just going straight into that top left corner, and he flies across and tips it over. Yeah, it's just not ideal. I've kind of said this to you guys every time I've been on, whether it's you or Harry's podcast, that I feel like Spurs are just, there is something there and it's just waiting to click. But there's just a part of it where it just always comes back to, it just is Spurs and they're not destined to do very well. And I do think that's a shame because I think you've got a great squad. In terms of your initial 11, I think your depth has been a big issue. Obviously, I don't think Archie Gray and Dragusin are the best centre-back partnership in the league. I think it will be fair to say. I do feel for Archie Gray, though, because he's so young. And, I mean, as far as I'm aware, he's not actually played in this position, has he?
No, no. I mean, he's a centre defensive mid by trade. So, I mean, he got shipped out to right back for Leeds last year. He's been asked to play right back, left back, centre back for us in every position apart from his own. So, I mean, I think for an 18-year-old, he's taken it in his stead, isn't he? But, I mean, I guess when you're a young player, you want to be playing. And he says he's a versatile player, but you do want some game time in your own position, don't you, as well?
Yeah, and also I just think there's an element of it, where I think it was maybe Salah. I think Salah's second goal. I think he does really well to block on the line and then get a foot to clear, and then it just drops to Salah, who's sat basically just waiting. Um, it's been a weird season for Salah actually, hasn't it? Because obviously he's got these insane goal and assist numbers, and I'm never going to take anything away from him being a good player, but I just think that a lot of his goals this year have been like, especially that second one today, where he's just in the right place, taps it in. There you go. Kind of the kind of goals that Haaland was getting criticised for a lot.
The thing is, though, when you do have literally, when you do have a player like Salah, you can't give him a yard of space, can you? And when, I mean, everyone doubts him and everyone questions him, but I mean, if you had him in your team, you'd be jumping with joy, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's insane. He's now Liverpool's fourth all-time highest scorer, somehow still over 100 behind Ian Rush, which just goes to tell you how good of a finisher he was. But it's 2 goals, 2 assists tonight. Like I think he's on 18 goals and 16 assists in all competitions for the season. I believe I might have that a little bit wrong, but I think I saw Fabrizio tweeting that. I mean, that's just outrageous. And to be honest, the fact that there's no guarantee about him signing a new deal, I do not understand.
No, exactly. I mean, when you've got players like that in the Liverpool setup, like Trent, what's it called, Trent. You've
Van
got
Dijk.
Guy, Salah, all of them. I mean, what does it say? That literally it's outstanding, isn't it, to say the least? And when you are questioning them signing new deals, but I mean, while they're there, they're doing the business for it, and I don't think Van Dijk was overly needed tonight, to be honest. But yeah, what can you say?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think out of the three, the one that I'd let go would be Van Dijk. I mean, you've got. I think that apparently they're interested in getting Mark Gay from us next summer, so that'll be interesting to see if that happens. But I think that Van Dijk's probably the most replaceable. Like I've always said, I think he's a little bit overrated. I think he's a great centre back. Don't get me wrong, but I think he gets away with a lot of handy marking and a lot of fouling, and you know I just think more generally that central defence is an area where when you've got obviously two players as Liverpool play the back four, I think you can kind of bring someone in and replace it. I think the role that Trent has in their team is so unique, and the role that Salah, the responsibility that's on Salah's shoulders for goals and assists each season is just so overwhelming that I don't think. I mean, I don't know how much he's on a week, but there's no way that renewing his contract would be more like you're not buying a player in the market that's going to come in and guarantee you those numbers. There's no one out there.
They
No
tried
one
to
at
do
all.
that. They tried to do it with Nunez, didn't they? They paid 90 million for him, and look, that's obviously a question of whether it's right or wrong, but it's not. It's not someone to take away from how well Salah has been playing at all. Let's just add George back in. George,
Hopefully
can
it's
you hit?
working this time.
There we go, mate. There we
There we
go.
go.
There we go. All
Third
right,
time
George.
lucky. Only everything else. Hello again.
Yeah, so we was just obviously discussing just before we get into the game more of the overview on how much of an impact that Virgil van Dijk, Trent, and Salah have on the way that Liverpool do play in itself.
I mean, just the whole team, the whole starting 11 is just ridiculous at the moment. I mean, they dominated the midfield for a start, and that's just players like Gravenberch. He was instrumental. Players like Gakpo, instrumental. That just that whole midfield. That's where they dominate. I mean, their defense is good, but it relies on people like Van Dijk. Like Gomez on his own couldn't pull that off, but just that front five is just unstoppable, really.
No, exactly. And when you've got options of people like Jota still to come in there, you've got Curtis Jones. I mean, even Nunez within reason. I mean, that's ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, how many teams can actually say that? I mean, you could probably say that City might have had it previously, but they're really not clicking either. And then when you are Liverpool, I mean, Slot's got so many options in there. Szoboszlai, it's ridiculous. And I
It's
mean,
what makes the difference, really, because you look at their bench compared to, well, City don't really have much of a bench this year, and it's shown with people like Kovacic being out, Kevin De Bruyne being out for a large part of the start of the season, and they've just completely tailed off. Without those key holding midfield, those creative players, they haven't really got anything going.
But then you even just compare it to Spurs' bench on their bench tonight. You've got Reguilon and a doggy, so you've got two left backs. Bergval, who's 17, 18, Johnson, Werner, and then other than that, it's academy players. And then you look at Liverpool's and they've got two academy players, as in like youngsters, new academy players, and the rest are seasoned pros. Even like Wataru Endo. So when McAllister's tired at the end of the game, and I do think McAllister plays a huge role in how this team operate. And I think today was one of the first times I've watched a full Liverpool game this season, other than when they played Palace. And I think that when you actually just watch, if you focus on McAllister for 5 minutes, he's kind of one of those players where if you look at him, you see the whole game. But if you're watching the game, you might not notice his presence as much.
And it's something that Tottenham lacks. They don't have that midfielder who can just marshal the centre of midfield and just sort of almost create the play around him.
And it's funny that because Basuma was brilliant in the week against United. I thought
he was
Basuma was
shit today.
Yeah,
He was dog.
But this is the problem: is that you need someone that's kind of going to put in those consistent 6, 7 out of 10s. And when you've got a player like Basuma who's gone from, I thought he was superb against United. He was all over the pitch. Every time that United lost the ball, it was Basuma winning it back. And then today, he's basically non-existent. He's just a passenger in the game.
I'm surprised he got left on, to be honest. I mean, when Ange did make changes, I mean, he took off Maddison, which was very questionable. He left Son on. I thought Son, Basuma, all passengers. Pedro Porro was poor today as well. I mean, I don't know what's happened to him. Since them links to Real Madrid, he's been nowhere near the player that we kind of expected over the last 2 seasons or so.
I mean, he left Son on for too long. Way too long.
But then also, to be fair to Ange, who does he bring on if he's going to take? Because I mean, obviously, Sarr was Sarr on a booking? No, it wasn't. But so obviously, you've got Sarr and Basuma. Those are your only 2 kind of defensive-minded midfielders in the squad, other than Archie Gray, who's having to play out of position at centre back. So then, what you bring on Bergvall in kind of like a. I don't really know much about Bergvall, but he from watching him, he definitely isn't comfortable as a kind of central defensive midfielder. He's more of an auxiliary box to box. He's a bit, I just don't. I think the squad depth is awful. I'm excited to see what Spurs are doing. If obviously, because we've spoken about Levy and how tight-assed he is, but I'm excited to see who you could bring in, because I think as I've said, you've got something there. It's just it just needs a little bit more.
I think yeah, that's the thing. I think that when we have Bentancur playing in there, it's more reassured, more comfortable. But I still think we lack that natural sort of 6 player. We've got a lot of 8s who can go box to box, but no one who can shield the defence properly, to be honest. And I think that showed today, because we tried Sarr in there first off, didn't happen. Then tried Basuma in there, didn't work. There was just no options, and like George was saying, we were just overrun in midfield. And I mean, we was both speaking at the pub earlier, and literally it was Liverpool all over the top, straight past the midfield, straight onto our back line. And I mean, I would even say give Archie Gray a go in that 6th position, because I mean, what's the worst that could bloody happen, to be honest? Because ultimately we haven't had much luck when it comes to it. But I mean, obviously, let's get into the game. So I mean, Spurs did hold on at least a little bit until the 23rd minute, but I mean, it was definitely one-way traffic, I think, for most of that, within reason, with Liverpool definitely hitting us. And I mean, Diaz got the first goal. So Henry, if I bring you in on that one, I mean, what did you think of that goal there, mate?
I just think it's. I mean, the ball from Trent is incredible, and it is such a good header. It is I think. It's one of those where if you played the game, you'd understand how difficult that is to be running at that speed. And it's almost a little bit behind him. And the way he kind of manipulates his body to make such good contact as well. And I mean, it's one of those headers. The keeper just isn't really. There's not much chance. But I think it's exactly what you've just said. Is that the even the initial build up. I mean, not just for the first goal, but for every Liverpool goal was far too easy. There's no pressure on them. And when you've got a player like Trent who's able to put it across like that, or play the ball long how he does, and play it over the top to Salah or whoever it might be, you're just kind of putting yourself up for sacrifice. So it's a good goal, great header, but I think it's like you said, Liverpool, the pressure was coming from them anyway, so it was kind of felt maybe like a bit of a matter of time until they opened the scoring.
You can tell as well that you've got you mentioned like right backs essentially playing centre back, and it shows in that this isn't their natural position, because Luis Diaz comes in from that run quite deep. He's not too advanced, he's not too forward, and there's no one watching him. There's 2 players either side, and he's just straight through the middle of them. Absolutely no one properly marking their man. And again, it just shows that you're playing players out of position where they arguably shouldn't be playing. Like Archie Gray is not an out-and-out centre back. And no fault of his own, and no fault of anyone's own playing at that centre-back position, really. They're not marking him, but they're not used to playing there at the end of the day. It's not something they're accustomed to. So, no surprise, he's almost got a free header at that point with Diaz's first goal.
No, exactly. And I think that is probably one of the main issues, where when you do have that implication to it, I mean, how do you sort of balance that out? It doesn't really sort of compute when you do have such an overexposed back line, especially as when you're sort of trying to well, we're trying to play out from the back, and then we're inviting pressure on. But then when you do give Liverpool that much space, they can definitely exploit it. So obviously, let's move on to the 36th minute, and it seemed to be a repeat of the first goal within reason. It was culpable mistakes from Spurs. I mean, George, can you talk me through McAllister's goal?
Again, it was just a brilliant cross. Same sort of issue in that first ball, Szoboszlai gets his head on it, and ideally you want someone to be looking for the second ball. We want to get this out, but they just completely leave it. McAllister's almost got a complete free header. Again, the one goal I will fault Forster for, you can argue maybe he should have come a bit earlier to try and collect the ball, but then you can argue at the same time, a keeper should have some security in thinking, my defenders are going to deal with this. You know, they're going to head this out. But no one picks up on McAllister making that second run in behind. Szoboszlai just knocks the ball on, and again, it's just a free header. It's almost a clean repeat of that first goal in the sense of no one is with their man. You've got two men virtually unmarked. Two free headers. One of them's going to go in.
No, exactly. I mean, Henry, are your thoughts the same on this one, mate?
Yeah, the only other thing I'd add is that I think the kind of lack of understanding and time that these defenders have played together, it shows. You've got Archie Gray and Jed Spencer both jumping for the same ball, and I don't think that happens in a more organised and a more kind of solidified back four. You'd have probably the centre back takes control and wins the challenge probably, and then I get what you say about Forster. That I do think it's probably the one goal that I'd fought him for. I think he's maybe just a bit hesitant, but then again, like you said, that probably comes down to him maybe just expecting his defenders to do their jobs.
Yeah,
well, that's the thing. When you've got a back line made up of three right backs and a natural right-sided centre back as well. I mean, Spence at left back, Archie Gray at centre back, Dragusin and Porro. I mean, they didn't really endear themselves for that second goal at all either. Evening, Harry. Thank you, mate. As always, hope you enjoyed the game. I know you was down there, and I hope you enjoyed the Squid Games bollocks that was involved in it pre-game. So obviously that left Spurs 2-0 down. Didn't last too long. I mean, the goal that Maddison did score, I think that was definitely an impressive feat. I mean, obviously McAllister went down wanting a free kick. Never a free kick. I think that was literally just him getting out-muscled in midfield. I mean, there was opportunities for both teams in that game where I think they definitely had some questionable decisions, but this one wasn't one of them. And McAllister going down, I think, was it Kulusevski who dispossessed him, and then Maddison picked it up. I mean, I think for someone who has been questioned all season, I think that was a cracking goal from Maddison. I'm not going to lie. I think he was the best one out of all three of them, at least finish-wise. I mean, Henry, what are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I mean, you've kind of just said it all there, really. It's a great finish. I've always enjoyed watching James Maddison play. I think he's technically really, really very good. But I think that, maybe sometimes he's just a little bit lightweight. And I think it's just whether he can kind of, we know he's got the ability, but it's whether he's got that kind of. We talk about it as Palace a lot, where we say like, if you've got the bollocks to grab a game by the scruff and just win the game yourself. And when we had Elise, he'd do that week in, week out. Someone phoning someone. But yeah, so it's whether he can step up and be clinical and be, when the ball's at his feet in that kind of area, just outside the box, he is so clinical. Whether that's from a set piece or with the ball in play, he is so deadly. And I think like you said, it's the best finish of the lot. To be honest, in my opinion, it's probably one of the best goals in the entire game, if not the best. Just technically flawless. It's just a shame that, I'm sure we're about to get onto it. It's just a shame the kind of Spurs reaction to that was to let them go up the other and score another.
Very Spursy reaction.
Yeah.
We scored. Let's just take the pedal off the gas. Let Liverpool come for 3-1.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I thought once we did score, I thought we started kind of going at them a little bit. But then once again, it's another switch off. And George, I'll obviously bring you in on this one. I mean, it goes to 45 plus 1. You kind of leading up to half time and you're thinking, just getting at half time, going at 2-1. And and go for it. But I mean, it's ridiculous. Let me just bring John in quickly. Big up, John. How you doing, mate? Thank you for coming on for this.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you, mate. You're all right, man.
I don't know if I'm on mute.
No, we just don't like you. We don't want to hear you.
I'm on mute. I don't know what's going on.
We can hear you, mate. We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Can you hear us?
No, this is Christ.
Fucking hell, he's gone. He's going in at half time, 3-1 down as well. Can you hear us, John?
Can't hear a thing.
we can hear him. That's brilliant.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Let's try. How's that, John? Any better? More dead than a dodo. Okie dokie, right. Well, John sorts himself out. So obviously, George, as we were saying, obviously you hope for a.
You want a reaction, don't you?
Yeah, exactly.
No, Dragusin on that third goal. He's got to be winning that first header. Yeah, it's
not really funny. He should have got us like blood.
He's trying to get it working.
Yeah, I know, but sounds like he's playing fucking Christmas music. So I mean, I don't know what's going on.
But no, like I said, Dragusin's got to win that first header. The second he doesn't win that first header, it's just a long ball over the top, and Liverpool just pounce.
I can't hear a thing.
We can hear him, but he can't hear us. Well, yeah, it was definitely one of them where literally Spurs couldn't have hoped for a worse reaction, could we? And Liverpool, I mean, Slot's game plan was definitely going to affect, and he was putting Spurs on the back foot. And ultimately, you want a reaction, and you don't get it, do you, at all? So, I mean, what could we ultimately
behind the Spurs back line? It was all down. It was all down Pedro Porro's wing, or just balls in behind. Porro
Give us
had
2
an
minutes.
awful game.
2 minutes.
But yeah, Porro had an awful game down that wing. But coming on that third goal, Dragusin misses that first header to Szoboszlai, who he's not short, but he's not exactly a massive bloke. And it just puts Liverpool clean through. I mean, the second that header is won by, I can't remember. I mean, Szoboszlai got it. I can't remember who's got onto the ball and actually scored. I think, was it Salah?
Salah assist it was Szoboszlai goal.
Szoboszlai flicks it, Salah carries it, and Szoboszlai just runs. And there's no one tracking him.
No, and
no one makes a challenge at all, do they? I mean, Dragusin, why he's in that position.
It starts with a poor attempt at a header. He should be winning that header. And how Szoboszlai's beat him to it, I don't know. But the second that he loses that, it just puts Liverpool on the front foot, because now you've got essentially, you're missing a defender because he's missed that header. Szoboszlai's ahead of him. At the end, you've got a player out of position, and I mean, there's no one to cover for him.
Exactly. I mean, it doesn't inspire confidence. And when you've got, when Spurs fans kind of had a little bit of hope, to say the least, going in at half time, and then you go in at 3-1, I mean, it doesn't really help, does it? Let's try and bring John back in. John, can you hear us? John, can you hear us?
Still not happening for me.
He's dead. Let's have a look. So if I try again. John, any better? Nope. It sounds like George has gone to the toilet, which is reassuring.
It's all right. Just grabbing the iPad.
Just a minute.
No worries, John. I'll take you back out again. So I mean, it gets to half time, and I don't think, what can you really say and all that? There's nothing that can be said. I mean, it comes back out, and within reason, I was kind of thinking maybe there'd be some substitutions, but I don't think anyone made it from there. And
who do you bring on?
Yeah, that's the thing. The options were limited at best for it. So obviously Spurs did hold on until the 54th minute, and then the man of Mo Salah, he had to get one, didn't he? He had to get involved and make Spurs' day go from bad to worse. So I mean, Henry, What did you make of Salah's first one here, mate?
My main problem with this goal, excuse me, is Spurs' lack of just care really defensively. You know, at the start of the move, Salah's the one carrying the ball, I believe, and he's driving through the middle of the pitch, and it's essentially, looking at it now, a 4-on-4, right? You've got then behind that 3 Spurs players sprinting back or jogging back, and then an extra Liverpool man joining. You run the goal on 3, 4, 5 seconds longer, and it's suddenly a 5-on-2. That's my problem with it, with the Spurs performance, is that where's the desire? I can understand that third goal just before half time is a massive kick in the teeth, and it's not exactly going to, put confidence flowing through the whole through the team and that. But for me, it's just you've got to, you're 10 minutes after half time. This isn't like you've not had 20 minutes of waiting for, to see it and having a couple of chances, maybe defending quite well. You're literally 10 minutes, not even that, after the break, and you find yourselves in a 5-on-2 from the halfway line. And at that point, you're just setting yourself up for failure. You run it forward, good pass from Diaz, Gakpo across, and then, it's lucky with the finish. It's the one we spoke about earlier with Gray blocking on the line. But this is the thing, is that when you're going to allow yourself to be overloaded like that defensively, players are going to be stood free waiting for a tap-in. And, I think it's just whether you question the desire, whether the Spurs players came out at half-time thinking, oh, we've lost this anyway, who cares? I think that's the biggest worry for me with that.
It's where I come
exactly.
That second ball, it's all day with Tottenham. They were doing it the whole game. Who's picking up the second ball? Gray clears on the line. You want someone there to just pick up the second ball and just get rid of it. But Liverpool are there straight away. There is just no one trying to essentially run to that second ball. It's that desire again. It's almost.
But Sarr
stood
next to him. But Sarr stood maybe 2 foot from him.
Exactly.
And he just watches the ball come.
But he doesn't.
Yeah.
No desire.
Exactly.
It's almost like Liverpool are going to score. I might as well just leave them to it.
Yeah,
exactly. John, what was your thoughts on that one, mate? Because obviously that was the 4th goal that went in, and it was, like the guys have said, quite embarrassing, and Spurs didn't really have a chance. We were caught ball watching, then standing around doing a bit of sweet fuck all, weren't we, to say the least?
Well, miss. If you haven't got Van der Ven and Romero there, well, I'm sorry, then you're going to struggle at the back. Young Archie Greer, he'll come good, but centre back is not his position. Yeah, and Jagerstein. I watched him at Genoa. He was really good for Genoa. Yeah, he's one of his biggest fans in Serie A. But in the Premier League, he's going to need a bit of time. But Spurs fans not going to give that time whatsoever, because they're not one of the most patient fans around. But saying that, the goal to Cedar was absolutely poor. That 4th goal was an absolute schoolboy error. And I tell you what, on January the 4th, I hope you do the same on January the 4th. I'll be loving it. But at the end of the day, right, it's your defence. That is your problem. You can score goals, but it's your defence. And it's just not good enough, yeah? But you look at the goals they conceded, they were really poor. Every time Liverpool broke, they were always going to score every single time. Fraser Forster, for me, not being funny, but I don't know why he's been like you, yeah? But it's not his fault. He had to put down the defenders, to know what I mean? So that 4th goal was absolutely appalling. Absolutely appalling. But the game was done, and I'll be honest with you, when Liverpool scored the first goal, I thought the game was done.
Yeah, let's put it this way. From where we were in the pub, I didn't see much difference to what you was thinking, mate, and all that, to be honest. It was definitely one of them games where it had a culmination of errors from a back 4 that shouldn't even be in them positions together and all that, and we definitely created our own grief. So obviously the amount of errors that did lead to these goals, I would say all 4 of them had errors from Spurs players involved with them one way or another. So let's jump ahead 6 minutes, and just to make it a little bit interesting, our big man Salah steps up again. So John, I'll stay with you on this one. Obviously, Spurs did make 2 changes in the period between the 2 goals. They took off James Maddison and Pape Sarr and brought on Johnson and Bergvall. I don't know why Basuma was not hooked instead of Sarr. I don't know why Maddison went off, because I thought he was one of our better players, if you can say that on the day. But obviously, it didn't really have the impact. And 3 minutes later, Salah did step up and score again. So can you talk me through what your thoughts were on this one, mate?
Yeah, I think, look, I mean, what I want to see Big Ange does, yeah, I mean, he should have changed it up, yeah. He needed to change it up. He's not going to change his style because, look, Celsius is a setting team. He would never change his ways, and that's how he is, yeah. But for me, I think I like to see him play theatre back. Do you know what I mean? Play theatre back, be 3-4-3. Ange needed to change it up, yeah. He tried to, but he brought him out at the wrong time. He should have done it in the second half, beginning of the second half. Not midway to second half, do you know what I mean? But I'll look at it, right? I mean, the midfield, you're badly missing Ben Tancourt. You're badly missing him big time, because he's the one you can hold all together when he behaves himself, by the way. But he's the one who's badly missed. But Bissouma has gone backwards for me. I'm not going to lie. Everyone picking him up and saying, yeah, we got him, you're getting him sort of thing, do you know what I mean? From Brighton. But where's that Brighton form? I still haven't quite seen it for big boosts yet. Do you know what I mean? I'm not being funny, but it has to be that great for Tottenham. And Maddison was a very strange one. I don't understand why he's been taken off as well, because like you said there, one of your better players, yeah? I mean, Brennan Johnson should have came on, yeah, and played him somewhere, yeah? I mean, Kulusevski tried his best, yeah? Again, I mean, he couldn't do it all by himself. He scored a lovely goal, by the way. Love a boy over the top, by the way. I mean, I don't know who you got on the bench to take Solanke. I mean, look, you need another striker on there as well, to be fair. But Charleston's out injured. You're badly missing him as well, because for his work rate, yeah. A doggy left back. I think I really rate this guy highly. I like him. But with Tottenham right now, I think you're a bit of a soft belly. I'm not going to lie. But I think Ange should have changed it up at the second half and put a back three. Play a back three. Change it up. Give it a go.
Problem is, we didn't have the players. We didn't have the players to go to a back three.
He's getting stubborn. That's the thing. I still think he's the right guy for Tottenham, but he needs to change it up, though. Callum, it's simple as that. But
exactly.
Put on second half. But Brennan Johnson didn't that much anyway. And is it also on the Swedish lad, Bergvall?
Bergvall. He didn't do sweet FA. He just got a yellow card. That was about it. Yeah, Bergvall.
He got puts as well. So, yeah, I think he should have made changes to begin second half, not midway.
Exactly. Henry, if I come back onto you, mate, I mean, what do you make of Salah's second goal?
And I can't hear a thing.
Oh, he's muted himself.
He's on mute.
Sorry, I muted myself. Sorry. It's probably one of the few goals that or one of the only goals actually in the game that I wouldn't blame Spurs for necessarily. I actually think that the pass from Gakpo is just so good.
Dear.
And in the first touch from Szoboszlai, you know, it's basically just takes the defender out of the game completely. I'm watching it back now, and it's Gray's kind of spinning, and the touch is just with so much momentum. One pass over, you know, one touch into the channel, pass over with his left foot, and then Salah's there again. And I think it's just what we spoke about. You know, Spurs are outnumbered at the back. You know, Archie Gray misses the ball, so Spence, I think it is, has, you know, dived over to try and salvage some sort of effort to stop Szoboszlai. One pass past him, left him on the floor, and then Salah's there to finish again. And it's exactly what we said for Salah's first goal, is that when you're not going to get back and work defensively, then goals like this are going to be conceded. And whilst it can look frustrating and it can look, you know, it can look easy and it looks like, you know, Spurs maybe aren't defending very well, I think it really does just come down to a lack of work rate and effort.
Again, though, so much comes down that side. Like, again, it came down Porro's wing. It's just... He had a really poor game for a player that I think is actually really good. Hence, he's being looked at by people like Madrid. But it was almost as if he wasn't there. So much, even in the first half, maybe not so much the second half, but so much came down that side. There wasn't so much coming down Jed Spence's side. Again, he's just so quick. They couldn't get past the guy at that sort of speed. If you wanted to get down the wing, whip one in the box, it was just come down Porro's wing.
Yeah, it was definitely one-way traffic down that left-hand side, and down what you would call the Liverpool's left sort of thing. And when you do have it, that you've got Porro gunning so far ahead that he was leaving so much space behind, and Dragusin was just being pulled all over the place, and I don't think he knew where to go. Theoretically, he was a senior out of the back line, I would say, or Porro was, and I mean, neither of them showed they was probably any better than Spence or Gray.
No one was leading.
And also for me, you can see the lack of leadership when, as Szoboszlai takes his touch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Spurs players basically do and then they stop running back.
Yeah.
And then what it comes to is then Szoboszlai plays it across to Salah, who's completely unmarked and probably would be marked if one of those 5 had actually bothered to track back. This is the thing for me, is like, because I feel like Ange will get a lot of stick for this result and this performance just by like general football fans and media, maybe some Spurs fans, I'm not too sure. But watching it back, I mean, it is completely just on the players, isn't it? I mean, some of this defending is just absolutely abysmal.
It was lazy. Just lazy.
I think that a lot of players have to step up and take account for it, because I mean, theoretically, we did have a captain and a vice captain on the pitch. Well, by that time, we only had a captain in Son, but I mean, I didn't see anyone sort of shouting at each other, "Come on, let's get going." There was nothing, was there? It was all very tame. It was all very mute, and it's like John said, that with Spurs and their soft belly aspect to it, there was nothing sort of there for it. But I mean, obviously, that was, Liverpool made a couple of changes. They took off Gakpo and took off McAllister and brought on Curtis Jones and Jota. I don't really think they had too much of an impact on the game, to be honest. But then it did turn Spurs' favour a little bit on the 72nd minute. And I mean, this was a really good goal and a really good assist by Solanke. And I mean, for all what Solanke is, people say that he doesn't score enough goals for us. I think that his stats are pretty good this season. I mean, George, obviously we were watching it live, and I thought,
fantastic goal.
What a great setup and a great goal by Kulusevski. So can you talk me through?
Where's that been for, 65 minutes of the game, though?
Exactly.
Tottenham going forward looked just diabolical, apart from, like I said, 2 or 3 flashes in the pan. That goal, fantastically well worked, but just where's that been all game? And I'll bring it back to that. You say, people say Solanke hasn't scored enough goals. Where's the service for the guy? Like, where's the service for Solanke? He's not going to score goals if you're not providing him the opportunity to do it.
No, 100%. I do think that obviously it's a great goal and it's really well worked, but I do think that if McAllister's still on the pitch, it might not be as easy for Spurs to cut through Liverpool. I mean, that kind of left-hand side of defensive midfield, where the ball eventually kind of gets played from, or just in front of the defence anyway. That's kind of where McAllister kind of roams, and I just feel like Curtis Jones in that position is just a little bit too far off him. Maybe he's got to step onto him a little bit more. But I mean, the finish is absolutely outrageous. I mean, to kind of track the ball over your shoulder and hit and connect with the volley with that much accuracy and that kind of such a clean strike is. I mean, we all know Kulusevski is an excellent player, so it's unsurprising really. But this is, it's probably the best goal of the game. Maybe time with Maddison, but it's just. And again, it's a goal that demonstrates the individual brilliance of some of your players. And it's just such a shame that can't be made a little bit more consistent.
No, of course. And I mean, John, if I can come to you, I mean, it's scary to think how good Kulusevski has been this season and how good he can be. So, I mean, talk me through what your thoughts are on his individual performance in this game, mate.
Yeah, I mean, I love his work rate. I love his run of the ball. And I love him to take on players and do something different and not scared of doing things. I mean, I think it's been one of your shining lights this season for Tottenham. Kulusevski, I'm a massive fan of this guy. He works hard, tracks back. Yes, he gets a lot of bookings as well, but he scored some cracking goals as well. I mean, lovely ball, like Henry said, played ball over the top, and he connected it really well to get that ball down and brought it over. Wow. He's some player, by the way. And I think he's a cracking player. I think he's, like I said, he's the one who's going to be your key player of the season, and he's the big fan favourite. I mean, look, is he carrying the team? I don't know. But I just think he's a joy to watch this season. I mean, I think he'd be at Spurs for life. I mean, I can't see him going anywhere other than Tottenham, staying at Tottenham, because he loves that city, he loves that club. You can tell by his energy, you can tell by his work rate, you can tell by his passion. It's all there.
Yeah, exactly. And it's scary to think that he is only 24, so he has got his peak ahead of him. I mean, when we did get him from Juventus, we did take him on a chance. We thought that could he do it, could he not? And Juventus had underappreciated and underused him. So it's definitely one of them where I was very happy to do it. I mean, after that, we've all commented on how weak Bergvall had been in the game, and he did get a silly yellow card for a contemporary foul, which was completely unnecessary, completely wasted. And finally, when it came to the 82nd minute, I mean, George had been saying to me throughout the game, this was crying out for someone who could actually run on the wing and take on the fullbacks for it. And I mean, because Son had been awful all game, to be honest. He was a passenger, and a German comes on and did do a lot of running up and down that left wing side. George, I think it's only fair to bring you in on this one, mate. Obviously, Timo Werner comes in at 82 minutes, and the minute next to it, we do score. Solanke and Johnson linking up. So can you talk me through this one, mate?
Sure. I mean, like, I follow a lot of German football. I've watched Werner when he was back at Leipzig, back when he was actually in his prime. Yeah, his finishing ain't there anymore. The end product isn't quite what it used to be. But if there's one thing he can do, it's run. And he'll pull players out of position. He gets that ball. He actually takes someone on. Son all game sort of seemed sort of scared to take people on. He takes someone on. He brings the ball back. And then he makes that quick darting running behind that pulls Alexander Arnold out of position, which gives that little bit of space that opens up where someone can run into, and it just gives them the free header. If you don't have someone pulling Alexander Arnold out of position, he's back in the box and he's able to actually cover that header, and there's no goal there. But he just pulls people away. It's that running. Yeah, he doesn't score goals great often. He doesn't get huge numbers of assists, but it's just the general involvement in that build-up play of doing what a winger should sometimes do and just pull people away. Just run. They've got their eyes focused on you. They chase you. They don't look for the ball at that point. They don't look at the man they should be marking. They look at the guy who's doing lots of running and they go, oh, he must be important. He's jogging about a load. And it, like I said, Werner doesn't have the end product he used to, but he will still put in a shift and he'll still run. And I think if you'd have brought him on, he's got 30 minutes in him. If you'd have brought him on a little bit earlier, he could have made a bit more of an impact because Son just wasn't doing anything. He's just kept him on too long.
No, that's fair. John, obviously, if I can come to you on this one, do you think that Son is on his last legs now? Because he hasn't looked how he should this season. And realistically, when you do bring on someone like Werner, it does give you that little bit of extra pace up front. I mean, like George said, it did have an impact. And unfortunately, Son didn't have an impact today whatsoever. He was a passenger. Can you give me your thoughts on that, mate?
Yeah, it's a shame because I love Heung-min Son. I really do love him. What is he, 32, coming on 33? And you know what? He's giving some joy. He's giving you some excitement. He's just giving you the best times at Tottenham. He's a legend there. But I saw him today. He had one good shot, which keep us safe. But other than that, I just thought, I don't want to put a great player down, but I think he wasn't on it today. And it's a shame, really, because I like him. I enjoy watching this guy. But the fact of the matter is, right, I mean, he has not been the same this season. I can't lie. And it'd be an absolute shame for you guys to get rid. But the thing is, he's a marketing tool as well for South Korea. So when he goes to play in South Korea in the pre-season friendly, like he did in the summer, because I was in Japan, let's be real. I mean, they all adored him. They adored Tottenham. There's a big Tottenham fan base in the Asian countries as well, like Japan, South Korea as well. Massive. But we're not there yet. We're not there yet, but back on Song, I mean, look, would I take him? Well, I probably would for 1 or 2 seasons for experience. Like, you know what I mean? I think he'd do well at Newcastle. I think they love him there. But for me, I just don't. I still keep him. I still keep him some capacity. I wouldn't get rid of him. Just play him with some capacity. Do you know what I mean? Like a coaching role, something like that sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? And just bed him in because he's a legend there. And it'd be an absolute shame to let him go. But he's not been on it this season for me.
It's since that injury, really. Because he picked up an injury last season, didn't he? And since then,
yeah, he did.
He's not been the same player. It's a bit of a shame, but
it is a shame. But is it to catch up with him though? That's the thing. I mean, is it catching up with him? That's my worry. I mean, look, when he's on it, I mean that goal he scored against against Man U from a corner. I thought that was some finish, But at the end of the day, I mean, on his day, if you let him give him space, he'll hurt you.
And that's the thing. I mean, Henry, if I can come to you, when he is sort of Spurs' talisman and he is sort of sold as the best player, you do kind of hope that he can turn it on in these big games like this and become a game changer. And if anything, he didn't really have the desired impact, did he, on that? And I mean, unfortunately, Werner did have the impact that we did want when he did come on.
Yeah, and I think as fans especially, sometimes you're just crying out for some fresh legs and a bit of energy. And I think Werner's a great squad player to have for that, purely because, as George said, of his pace is just insane. So I think that's definitely a positive off the bench. For Son, I think, let's be realistic. He's in his 30s. He may well just be coming, be well past his pomp, and he's coming to the end of his career at the very top level, and that's fine. He's had a great career. He's been a great player. I think obviously, we'll all remember those seasons of him with Kane, especially was it Kane's last season where both of them were just absolutely outrageous. Yeah. And I just think that, I don't know. I just don't think there should be any kind of negative narrative around him if it is that he's kind of tailing off a little bit. I mean, obviously, it's not ideal for Spurs. They could really do with him being at his best. But at the same time, it's a player that's played for Spurs for however many years now, been at the very top of his game for the last 3 or 4 seasons at least. And, is maybe just over the hill a little bit. And that's fine. But I think it's why, for me, it's going to be really... I mean, we always say it with Spurs, it's really crucial how they invest and, how they, operate in the transfer market. And having Daniel Levy as your chairman isn't exactly ideal when you're going to need to be replacing somebody like Son. I mean, I think Kane was, I'd argue but you're not really replacing Kane. You're just buying a new number 9 because you can't really replace Harry Kane because he is probably still the best in the world at what he does. But for Son, I think there's plenty of players that Spurs could be looking at. And, even moving away from that left wing position, central defence, there's loads of promising young central defenders in the Premier League at the minute. You look at Dean Huijsen, who scored again for Bournemouth today, another great player. Someone like that would just be awesome just to come in and, whilst he's still young, I don't think there's anything wrong with kind of following this kind of, let's keep young players. But, if you can go out and get, there's plenty of players. You get an Eze to stick at left wing. You can come in and you get someone else from maybe one of the lower clubs, Tyler Dibbling, someone like that. I genuinely think at this
point,
don't steal Tyler. Don't steal Tyler
George,
off us.
But at this point,
please, we need one player.
We could do a lot worse than going and getting that Sepp Vandenberg from Brentford and all that, the other Dutch centre back.
Exactly. So this is the thing. There's players there. It's just going to be about how you operate in the transfer window. And like I said about Sonny, I think I'll always have fond memories of watching him play. And I think if it is that he's past his best, then so be it. He's been a great servant to your club, and I don't think any sort of blame should be put on him. And we said it at Palace season on season with Wilf. When he was getting past his best, and he wasn't able to really drag us through seasons, nobody was blaming him. They were just blaming the fact that there wasn't a replacement lined up ready to step in.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Exactly. Obviously, Spurs' woes did get even worse. We thought maybe for a couple of minutes a 5-3 comeback could have been on the cards, and then give it 2 minutes later. And I mean, another person who probably we could have got potentially before, Luis Diaz, steps up. And I mean, it had to involve Salah as well. And Diaz gets the sixth. And that was. I would have said probably game over was half time. I had hopes. I did have delusions of grandeur, everything like that. So, George, if I can bring you in on this one, mate. I mean, Diaz probably had a very good game for Liverpool, didn't he? He was dominating everything up front. He was a pain in the arse for our defence. So, can you talk me through this one?
There was a reason he was man of the match. Luis Diaz was just playing an absolute blinder. He was pulling players out of position. He was making some really good runs. And at the end of the day, his finishing was on point as well. I mean, again, it was just very typical Spurs. We've been saying it all game. They just get dragged out of position at the back, and then there's no one to cover. Again, Liverpool just catch Spurs on that break. Because, of course, Spurs have got to go forward at this point. You can't defend a loss. You're mid-table. What are you defending at that point? There's no goal difference to defend. You have to come forward. Liverpool take advantage of that, and they just come bombing in again. And I don't think it's any fault of Spurs. They're doing what they should do. They're coming forward. They should be coming forward. They need to get some goals. There's only so ever many minutes left. It's just Liverpool doing what Liverpool have done most of this season, catching people on the break, where they've just got so much pace going forward. The second you lose that ball in Liverpool's final third, and you've got players forward, the second Liverpool get a chance to break, it's almost guaranteed it being a goal at this point. They're so good coming forward on the break. Stopping them is just it's a work of art for a defence to be able to pull it off at this point. And it's why I think they are where they are, top of the table with a game in hand.
But it's also for me, it's the kind of freedom that Arne Slot has, is that he's obviously not a massive fan of Darwin Núñez, because I don't think many managers would be. You know, he misses so many chances. But you've then got a player like Luis Diaz that obviously last two games, Fulham and then today, he's played as a central striker, whether that's in a free or at the top of a diamond like he did today. And I think that just, like, the pace he has, it just plays into what Liverpool want to do. And it's exactly what George just said. They'll sit, they'll let you kind of piss around with it on the edge of their box, if you like, because they know that you're not going to trouble them. And then they punch in, win it back, long ball from McAllister, long ball from Gravenberch, long ball from Trent, whoever it may be. Even Van Dijk's got it in his locker to ping, 60, 65 yards all the way up to the other end of the pitch. And then suddenly, the game's being flipped, and you've gone from, and I say it because I've noticed this multiple times in this game, is that I was looking at Spurs and thinking, well, go on the attack here, or they could get a chance here. And then 30 seconds later, Liverpool have scored.
Great turnover. It turned over so quickly.
It's so quick and so relentless, and it's just brutal. And I can imagine that it probably does fuck with people's heads as opposition defenders, because you're as Archie Graham Dragasine, when Spurs are attacking, will be sat on the halfway line. Obviously marking Diaz, having a look where Salah is. But they'll be thinking, all right, we're comfortable here, that we're not under pressure. And then 10, 15 seconds later, Dragossin's slipped over, he's on his arse. Archie Gray, bless him, is trying to sprint back. And then, the ball's gone past Fraser Forster, and then you're 3-1 down. I just think it must be so demoralising. But I think the role that Diaz plays, and especially played tonight, it's just that whole front floor is so fluid, whether it's the Boschlei dropping so McAllister can step, whether it's Salah tucking in up front, and when he does, Luis Diaz goes wide. It's just so fluid. And I think, when you're playing well and you're top of the league as they are, and you're winning so many games and scoring so many goals, your confidence is going to be high. So basically, if someone wants to stop Liverpool, they need to put a massive dent in Liverpool's confidence, and at the minute that just doesn't look like it's going to be possible.
The other thing Tottenham do, and I noticed this a lot throughout the game, apart from their 3 goals, when they actually turned on the pressure and just kept putting balls in the box, and they kept actually trying, they were really direct with their football when they scored. Apart from that, they try and walk it in the box. And I see it with Southampton this season, painfully being a season ticket holder. We try and walk it in the box, and then a team dispossesses you, and they've got that opportunity to bomb forward. If you just keep putting direct balls in, they're going to have to deal with them some way or another, but it doesn't give them a chance to recuperate and think, right, I've got a chance to put a ball over there. They just have to get it out quick. The second that Tottenham went back to that, let's just pass it around a lot instead of just trying to make that through ball, trying to just get that ball out wide and then straight in. Liverpool had that time to think, oh, look, we got, he's out there just on the wire, just on the wing, ball over the top.
That's a really interesting point as well. And you've just made me think of how it's almost like every team, so Southampton under, obviously now, hopefully not for your sake, under Europe, it's not playing the same way. Palace as well were doing it. Newcastle do it. Every team has almost tried to replicate how Pep Guardiola plays football.
Pep ball, walk into the box, tippy-tappy.
Which had been found out.
But exactly, losing. But the two teams that aren't doing that, or maybe three, are Arsenal, Liverpool, and Chelsea. And I noticed it yesterday. I mean, I was on my football team night out with a load of Arsenal fans, so that was hell.
Fucking hell.
Watching it, and it's constant. Palace are on the ball, and it's slow build up, and we're trying to play through the lines and move up as a team. Arsenal win the ball, Odegaard gets it, turns, bang, 30 yards, Saka's in, Martinelli's in, Jesus is in, and it's exactly the same thing. If you turn teams over that quickly, there's then going to be chances where your striker is stood 5 yards out, if that, with a tap in, which we saw with Jesus yesterday.
And that's so strange as well, because Palace last year under Glasner for that last third of the season didn't play like that at all. They were really direct, really quick football.
But I mean, when you lose a player like Elise, it obviously has a massive impact. But what I will say, that performance yesterday was just completely, it was an anomaly for us. I mean, that is easily the worst we've played. It was the first time since Chalobah kind of established himself in the team that he's been taken out. And I don't know why you disrupt a back three that's, playing pretty well. But, it's just one of those. But I just think that Liverpool's, they're so direct, and it's scary watching it. Even as a Palace fan tonight, I was watching it thinking, fucking hell, like I've got to chat to Callum later, and he must be shitting himself right now. Every time they get on the ball, they're scoring a goal, like George said.
Well, I think it's only fair to bring John in, because obviously Newcastle did nullify Liverpool a couple of weeks back, didn't you? You did manage to nearly push them to a 3-2 win. So, I mean, John, bring us in on that. To give us an aspect of how Newcastle did play in that game to keep Liverpool at bay for so long.
All we did is just kept attacking them, just take our chance to comms, and also just have a go, just play our game, play attacking football, don't sit back, give it a go. And that's exactly what we've done. I mean, Jacob Murphy had a couple of good chances, hit the outside of the post, and had a shot just wide. And I thought Isak's goal was a wonderful strike from 20 yards, top corner, beautiful. It wasn't quite top corner, but it's some goal, do you know what I mean? Could have had no chance, yeah? We could have gone 2 up, Gordon 1-on-1, hustled off Van Dijk, who should have been sent off by an off-the-ball elbow, yeah? Again, never been picked up by VAR. Clean through 1-on-1, shot straight at the goalkeeper. That would have been the game set and done. Would have been a complete different game. But 2 of the goals we gave the ball away. Lewis Hall's one of them, Livermento's another. And then they swept through, came back to 1 each and then 2s each. And then Salah scored like a soft goal, by the way, to be honest with you. And all we did, we just gave it a right go. We gave it a right go. We attacked. We didn't sit back, play our game. Because if you sit back against these, they're going to find a way. And if they find a way, you're going to get absolutely cooked. You're going to get cooked.
And I think tonight was the best example of that. You sit back and you let them come at you, and you got no chance.
Exactly. Otherwise, you're going to get cooked, and then you're going to be on the menu at Nando's with extra spice. Do you know what I mean? That's what's going to happen to you. Do you know what I mean? So that's the matter is, just play your game. Don't change. Just do your own thing. Let them know that we're not going to sit back. We're coming after you. I'm not going to allow you to come after us. Yeah. We shouldn't be enough to be scared. But watching football now for Newcastle the last couple of games, it's just like we got for the top 4. Do you know what I mean? That's what we need. But we got a good tie against Arsenal. I think we could get something out of that game. We got 4 players out with suspension.
Well, it's all right. We've got 2 more ties of Liverpool. So, I mean, that's really going to go down fucking well for us.
You'll get through.
Oh, you haven't got the cup final.
You'll get through, mate. You'll be fine.
It's the cup, isn't it? You've got Liverpool after they knocked us out.
Yeah, we've got 2 semi-final legs against Liverpool, so we've got 2 more of these games to look forward to on the 7th of January and the 4th of Feb as well. So one's going to ruin my birthday. Let's put it that way. So
that aggregate scoreline could be a little bit ugly, couldn't it?
Well, the funny thing is, again, coming back to it, when we played Liverpool in the cup last week, all of a sudden, when Russell Martin wasn't in charge, we decided, should we play some attacking football? And it was only 2-1. Liverpool should have creamed us. It should have been like a 5 or a 6. But the second, it's like John said, if you attack Liverpool and you don't give them the time of day, they can't play the football they want to play. You've just got to put them under pressure rather than let them put you under pressure. Because the second you give them that time, they'll take the piss.
Well, the thing is, as well, is most of your players were trying to put on a good display to see who Liverpool were going to buy next as your youth feeder academy to them. But that's on that one for saying how the past has been. But obviously, that was an ending aggregate game. I mean, Liverpool did kind of leave it alone for the final 10 minutes. So they did bring on Núñez and Elliott, so it kind of took the sting out of the game a little bit, but it did end 6-3. I mean, Ange has said that obviously we are suffering a lot of injuries from the game. So, I mean, we are 8 or 9 players out. So what can you expect us to do? Well, you still hope for a kind of game. But, I mean, it is coming up to Christmas. I mean, our Boxing Day fixture isn't much better. It is against Forest, away at Forest. And, I mean, to be honest, that's going to be one of them where I can see maybe a draw. But I don't think we're going to be any much better than today's.
I'm going to be cheeky. I'm going to say it's a Forest win. Because Forest, unless Tottenham can find a way to get someone in midfield who can just hold up the ball, just hold the ball really well, and then you've got to look for that defensive playmaker, like Kovacic at City. You take him out of the squad and all of a sudden they're a different team. They've got Gibbs-White, Hudson-Odoi, who can just marshal the midfield, just control it, dictate the pace of play. Tottenham don't have that. And if Forest have got those two fit and playing well, and they dictate that midfield, they'll run rings around Basuma and Sarr.
Yeah, I mean, John, if I can bring you in as well, I mean, obviously we've talked a lot over the last couple of weeks about Elanga, Chris Wood as well. I mean, they definitely have the ability to torment Spurs, and I think even do something against us. And I mean, we never used to be afraid of Forest. This time, I mean, like Ronnie's saying in the chat as well, we're getting nothing from Forest, to be honest. I mean, what can you see happening on Boxing Day? It's definitely not going to be a nice Christmas present for me.
Are you at the City Ground or are you at home?
At the City Ground.
Oh, that doesn't look good, mate. That does not look good. I mean, they're playing really well for us. They're tough to beat. We found a way second half because you have to change it up, but it doesn't look good at all. I mean, they got a good defence at the back for us, Milenkovic and Murillo. Massive.
He's a class player, Murillo, to be fair, ain't he?
He is. I like Milenkovic, though. I mean, I think he's brilliant. But Murillo, my guy, absolutely brilliant. Will he be at Forest next season? I'm so sure. But don't forget, he only played about 15 games for Corinthians, if not less, before he moved on to Forest. And Forest took a gamble there on this guy. And this guy's just come out leaps and bounds. He's quick. He reads defence. He's not the biggest of defenders, you know. He's 5'11", and he is really, really good. I mean, that's the sort of defender you need to buy, mate. Someone like him. Yeah. And if you can get
even
him,
Milenkovic next to him is also a really good defender.
He is.
And I think if you had Murillo and Milenkovic as your backup to Van der Ven and Romero, we'd probably be talking about a much different result tonight.
Exactly.
They were not a defender like that at all. They were not a defender like that.
That's the thing, compared to Dragusin, who was running around like a twat with a cunt bum and all of that on the top of his head. So, I mean, it doesn't bode well, does it? But no, I mean, Henry, if I can bring you in on this one, mate, do you think, I mean, has Palace played Forest this season already? Or
yeah, we played at the City Ground, lost 1-0. I was there. It was just a pretty crap game. I think for me, the thing with Forest is that they're just a really well-oiled machine. I think Nuno's got them playing really well, and I think
they're a team that play for the manager, aren't they? They play for him
for sure. But they're also a team that are like they're not a team of individuals. They're just a team of proper. Everyone has their role and they know what they're doing. There's you don't look at the Forest results week in week out and see the same scorers constantly. I think the goals are spread across the team nicely. The kind of the skill is spread across the team nicely. I absolutely love Elliot Anderson. He's one of my favourite players to watch this season.
Never got sold. Should have got rid of him.
Exactly. I don't think you should have ever sold him. No. I think he obviously
PSR's killed us.
There was all of that. There was all of that for that transfer, which makes sense. But I just think he's just mustard. We spoke about Milenkovic and Murillo earlier. I think you've got just the dynamism of that front four, even with Chris Wood leading the line. He's not the quickest, but when you've got, you've got Gibbs White, Hudson-Odoi, Elanga behind him, that kind of pace and skill and talent and just natural ability, you don't need another one of those up front. You can have a Chris Wood, and that Chris Wood will score you 15, 20 goals a season. They're just, I can't really see past, I think for Spurs, the best result they'll be getting there is a draw.
Well, Chris Wood's a target man. And how many, two of the goals today came from headers. What is Chris Wood good at scoring?
Headers.
Exactly.
Exactly. So any set piece that they're going to get, they are going to make the most of and all that. I mean, we're not great at corners. We don't have someone who's dominating the box either. I mean, maybe Fraser Forster being a bag of cement up in the air, maybe he might be able to catch one or two of them. But I mean, even he's looked quite flappy.
He'll target Gray, won't he? If Gray starts, he'll just stand on Archie Gray all game long. And I feel for the kid already because that is going to be a rough afternoon for him.
Yeah, when you've got if you've got Chris Wood in front of you and then you've got Hudson-Odoi and Elanga running at you with Elliot Anderson and Gibbs White behind that. I mean, the only thing that's making me a little bit more confident is the fact that we have got Bentancur back from his ban this week. So potentially if Basuma can drop out and maybe Maddison and Sarr or Maddison and Kulusevski, something like that in the middle, that might be a little bit more balanced. But I mean, can I just get a prediction from all of you for this game? I think it'd only be fair. So, George, I'll come to you first, mate.
Honest, 2-0 Forest.
2-0 Forest. John, what are you going for, mate?
I think Spurs will score, but I'm going to say 2-1 Forest.
2-1 Forest. Henry, what are you thinking, mate?
6-3 Forest.
6-3 Forest. Fuck off. No.
I'll go 3-1 Forest.
3-1 Forest. Okie dokie. Yeah, so I mean, a couple of the guys, Winnie's gone for 3-1, Luke's gone for 2-0, Wes has gone for 2-1 as well, and Dave's gone for 2-1 Forest. I mean, we have got one other game just at the weekend as well. I mean, we are playing Wolves as well. I think that's on Sunday, on the 29th. Yeah, so Spurs are playing Wolves as well. That one is at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. My hope is that we can get some points from that game, but knowing our luck, the new manager bounce will come in and we'll be susceptible to being killed. So I mean, George, what's your thoughts on Wolves? Because I mean, they haven't been the greatest under Gary O'Neill, and now they've got Pereira.
The game where they played Leicester, and Leicester weren't particularly bad. Wolves just played like Wolves did last season. All of a sudden, it's as if they've just got that attacking spark back. 3 really well worked goals. Leicester probably could have taken the lead quite early on. Wolves' defence didn't look any better, but just going forward, they looked decisive. They looked dangerous again. And again, with Tottenham playing that sort of weird back four that they are at the moment, with 3 right backs playing on the pitch at the same time, you almost wonder if. And I mean, Wolves have got some good players like Cunha. He's playing well above his level playing at Wolves. I can't see him staying there beyond this season. He'll be another one that's poached off to, say, Liverpool or Chelsea or someone like that. Even Tottenham. Take him on the wing. He's a great little player. But people like that, they're going to cause you problems. I think, realistically, you should beat them. Because I said the defence wasn't... Leicester should have probably scored a couple of goals. The defence wasn't amazing. I can see Tottenham scoring. It's just whether or not you can negate Wolves coming forward.
Exactly. John, if I can bring you in, mean, obviously, George has alluded to Cunha, and I know we've been singing his praises for nearly half a season now. I mean, he's a class player, isn't he? And he could definitely put Spurs' backline under pressure. I mean, whether he plays on the wing, whether he plays as a false 9, whether he plays as a 10 as well. I mean, you can't get much better than him. And I mean, he's probably near a 10 10 Premier League goals now for the season, isn't he?
Yeah, and also he's been charged as well, so he might even be playing against you guys. You know what I mean? So, and all I can say is, right, he's a really, really, really good player. He really is. I mean, it's the sort of player I'll take at Newcastle if Eddie like number 10, but I think he's one of the shining lights for Wolves, yeah, when he behaves himself. So stop taking someone else's glasses off their fist, you know what I mean? It's having watched on one, you know. But on the pitch, he's just a delight to watch. I mean, his movement's fantastic. He's quick, and he's got a footballing brain. And to get him for Atletico Madrid, that was absolutely brilliant. I mean, would you swap Madrid for Wolves? No disrespect to Wolverhampton. You just wouldn't you?
Arsenal, Madueke.
Is that? Oh, yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, Wolves fans. I got Wolves fans who follow us anyway. No disrespect, but you know, it's just listen. End of the day, I mean, good player, and any manager would love to have get this guy.
Yeah,
and I think he'd be really good. He speaks 6 languages, by the way, and he's a really good player.
Oh.
And you got to watch out for him. You stop him from playing, I think you stop Wolves from playing as well.
That's the thing. They are definitely quite one-sided sometimes when they do put everything through him. So, I mean, Henry, can you see Spurs getting anything out of this game, or do you think this is going to be another amount of dropped points that will push Spurs further down the table?
I think Spurs should win this game. I think, like the boys have alluded to, you've got a player in Cunha who's superb. I think for me, Wolves' survival this season depends on whether or not they sell Cunha in this coming transfer window. I mean, someone would have to come in with a bloody good offer, and I'm thinking,
what we're talking 60, 70 million, something like that.
I'm thinking 65, 70 at least.
Yeah.
I mean, the kid's mustard, but yeah, I think this is a game Spurs should win. And I think if you start losing at home to Liverpool, obviously the scoreline and conceding 6 goals isn't ideal, but losing at home to Liverpool isn't a problem for Spurs. I don't think. Losing at home to Wolves is big time. So I think that this is a game that you've got to win. And I think it just depends if you get the confidence knocked out of you at Forest. So you're just going to have to wait and see what happens. I'm going to have to go because I've got my...
No worries, mate. Thank you.
Nice chatting to you all. So look after yourselves. Yeah, have a nice Christmas, everyone.
Cheers, mate. You too.
Merry Christmas.
Take care.
See you, mate.
See you later.
Rightio. So obviously we'll just finish up this one. I mean, obviously, if I come to you, what's your prediction for this game, mate?
The Wolves-Tottenham game?
Yeah.
I'm going to go 1-1.
Okie dokie. John, what are you thinking, mate?
Well, I mean, Wolves did demolish Leicester, didn't they? I can see goals in this game. I'm going to say 3-2 Tottenham.
Okie dokie. So, I mean, Luke is going for 3-0 Spurs on this one. Wes has gone 3-1. Dave has gone for 3-1 Spurs as well. And Winnie has gone 2-2 as well. So, I mean, obviously, we have got a tough round of fixtures coming up. And, I mean, ultimately, we need to get over these two because we're playing a load of crazy Geordies after that down here, aren't we, John? We've got you guys on the 4th of Jan at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So, I mean, I think we need to get these points because I'm not looking forward to that one. Are you going to be at that game or are you going to be not?
I'm afraid not, mate, because I haven't got enough points, and which is a shame, really. But at the end of the day, like, you know, it's just if I do, I do. I don't. But I'll go somewhere else because I'll do around the grounds now as well. So if I don't go to Newcastle game on Saturday, that'll do a different stadium for me channel. So I've done the Bank 10 so for hospitality, and I'm going to do Stockport County against Mansfield on that day.
Oh, that's not too bad. So you can't complain on that. I mean, to be fair, George goes all the way down to Southampton as well. He does put himself through it. This is your first season of doing it properly, isn't it? And
yeah, I mean, I've gone to the odd game, but it's the first time I've been able to get a season ticket. I mean, again, our issue is that tippy-tappy football at the back. It's just sometimes just get the ball forward and just put it in their half, make them work. Stop letting yourselves get dispossessed so easily in your own half. And it showed against Fulham today. We got a clean sheet and a point when we just defended properly and didn't faff about at the back. Sure, defending works.
Exactly. But no, I think on that note, gents, I think we will call it a night. Thank you very much for coming on. So, I mean, John, obviously, thanks for joining me on another channel. It has been a pleasure. So, where can everyone find you, mate?
No problem, mate. Thanks so much for the song. And if you do follow me on John Sinclair TV, and what I do, I don't normally do a lot of lives now because for me, I mean, there's too many Newcastle vlogs and channels going out, sort of thing. You know what I mean? And I just cannot compete. I'm not gonna lie. I will do it one day, like, you know, I will do it. But what I do now, I'll do like ground hoppings as well, like around the grounds. I'll do like lower leagues, basically, sort of into school, and just do hospitality and chat to the people, fan cams, vlog the hospitality, and then when I go in the stadium, I got a hospitality seat. And some parts I can just go in the terraces if I want to as well, to meet the other fans as well. And the singing section. And that's where I'll do it, sort of thing. Just get in there, sort of thing, watch the game and do my vlogs. And that's what I do. The next couple of games I'm doing Newcastle Villa, Celtic against St Johnstone, Plymouth Argyle against Bristol City. And then after that, I'll be doing Stockport County against Mansfield. So those are the next 4 games for me, hospitality. But Stockport's are hospitality, by the way, no Newcastle.
That sounds good to me, mate. And I know I'll probably have you on the Premier League show back in 2025 as well. And obviously, George, thank you very much for coming on, mate, and making your debut. We might make a podcaster out of you yet. But obviously, if you've got Twitter, where can everyone find you, mate?
Oh, my Twitter? I don't use it.
Oh, well, then that's all right. But no, thanks very much for coming on, mate. And obviously, if everyone wants to go and like and subscribe John's channel, go and follow Henry as well, and follow Park Lane Podcast. It is Christmas, so we won't be on anymore until I think it's the 29th. We may have a show. I may be on Harry's show as well on Thursday or Friday, depending on how the Spurs game goes on Boxing Day. We shall see. But if anyone wants to find me, it's Callum Stubbs 97 on X. You can come and have a row with me like most people do. It does make it interesting and fun, but it's all a load of laugh. But obviously a Merry Christmas from all of us. And if we don't see you, Happy New Year, and see you in 2025.